Hello, everyone. Mike Aguilera here, and I'm going to have a conversation with Monica Duarte, a professional. Oh, you better tell me how to introduce yourself, Monica. What's your title?
A trauma and professional go coach.
Okay, yes, yes, you're right. So we're going to have a conversation here about trauma, and a lot of people don't know they have had trauma from childhood and how it could be impacting either you or a loved one in their life now in regards to their success, their health, their mental health, their well-being. So Monica's going to share some insights about what to look for or some common trauma or just some great insight in regards to how to be aware of that and how to nurture yourself. So let's jump into it, Monica. What are some of the classic trauma, I guess, symptoms that people have had from childhood? What are some of the traumas that they go through that you've experienced helping clients?
Yeah, so I tend to work with a lot of Latinas and women, and the common traumas that show up during session, one of them that's really big is imposter syndrome, specifically for Latinas. I've also, abandonment is another one. Dealing with parents that were narcissistic is another one that has a huge impact. There's also immigrant trauma, and, experiencing neglect as well. So those are some of like the main ones that show up in session.
Yeah, and imposter syndrome. Yeah, I've heard that a lot also. And I also do a lot of coaching and presentations for corporations. And yeah, the mindset of I'm lucky. They don't know I'm not that smart or that good, and they don't feel good about themselves, and they don't know how to promote themselves. And so how does the imposter syndrome start in childhood?
So specifically for Latinas, because I'm thinking of them right now. So the roots of imposter syndrome actually originate back to colonization. So it's already in the culture because of colonization. So we are already raised around feeling like frauds. Because, a lot of us Latinos, we are partially indigenous. We have indigenous roots. And so we try to hide that. We grew up trying to hide those roots. So that starts from there. And then, if they come to the US or here in the US, there's a whole dynamic here, that if you're not, white passing, that also creates that imposter syndrome as well. And then as, if you're Latino, a person of color, as you grow in your organization and you go up there, it's not going to be a lot of people that look up like you up there and up in, the ladder. So that also impacts us to feel like imposters as well.
Okay. And can someone have trauma from childhood or early age and not be aware of that? Do they just go through life, and what are some of the symptoms that manifest when someone has a trauma? And more than likely it's from a trauma. And how do they act in relationships and business, or what are some of the symptoms that people can think, hey, that's like me, or that's like my brother or sister or something like that?
Yeah, definitely. So actually a lot of people, I think most of us have trauma and we don't know it because we're not taught, we're not raised to, identify it. And especially if you were raised in a home that was very chaotic and abusive, that's your norm. So you're not going to know any different. So yeah, definitely, you can have trauma and not know that is trauma. And some of the ways that, you can start to explore that is one of the, a trauma response is dissociating. So if you feel kind of detached from other people, if it's difficult for you to connect with yourself, those are trauma responses. Doing inner work is scary for you. That is a very common trauma response because, when we are fully secure in ourselves, we don't have that fear of connecting and doing that deeper work and knowing who we are. So that's one of them. Depression is another indication of trauma, and then have anxiety attacks are also another indication of trauma. Of course, depression can also be like a chemical imbalance. So it's important to, go to your doctor and get all the tests done. And if everything's good, then, it's most likely trauma related. And let me see. Another thing is like afraid of being seen. is a trauma response. Again, our natural state is to be secure with ourselves. And so if we're navigating the world, feeling afraid of connecting with ourselves, being seen, being heard, showing up in the world, those are all indications of possible trauma.
Okay, great. And from our previous conversations we had, my understanding is you went on your own journey to break through and have some breakthroughs in regards to trauma that you had. And that's why you're in this passionate situation now of helping other people to create breakthroughs and understand trauma. Did you want to touch on that a little bit so people know that it does, and there are ways of getting out of that trauma and ways of having someone guide you through that?
Yeah. So, I'm Latina, Mexican, and I was born into trauma and raised around it. I didn't know. And then at some point in my life, I went through a near-death experience, and that's kind of when I started to work on myself. I spent years in the spiritual world, like community, trying to heal myself, and got to the point where none of it was really helping me. It would help me feel better, but it wasn't actually helping me process trauma. And so then I got into the world of IFS, internal family systems, also known as parts work. And that was a modality that really helped me heal. I actually healed from so much trauma in like a period of 2 years. And I feel so different now. I have people like friends and people that know me. They're like, wow, you're so different. You've changed a lot. And that's because of the work that I've done. And the work that I do, I also got trained in that modality. So the work that I do is not just about doing the healing, but you also develop life skills. And those are the skills that I use in my life now. So if I notice there's like a trauma response getting activated, I can actually help soothe that part of me. Because I have these skills, I'm able to do things that I could never even imagine doing before, like doing speaking engagements. I would have been terrified of doing that. And now I'm just doing them. I feel like because I've healed from a lot of trauma, I have a lot of context of what people experience and what it feels like to live in it and also to be healed from it as well.
Okay, great. Living proof.
Yes.
So as we wrap things up, how would someone get in touch with you?
Yeah. So if you're interested in booking a coaching assessment, whether it's trauma or professional goal coaching, you can go to my website at monicaoduarte.com and check everything out there. Or you can also reach out to me at monica@monicaoduarte.com and I can send you all the info. Okay, great. Well, thank you for the helpful information and continue the mission. There's a lot of people out there that need your help. Thank you. Bye now, everyone.